What's up, fumblers? We are officially back from the Super Bowl. It's been 2 weeks, but lots of things happened. We'll get into it. I hope that you guys are all surviving without football. We're definitely sad the season's over, but had so much fun in New Orleans, and we know we have a lot to look forward to in the off season. Even though the players aren't on the field, they're going to be just as messy, if not messier. We're going to be covering it all. Noelle, how are you feeling post Super Bowl? What are your reactions?
I don't know if there's a thing called the Super Bowl, like post Super Bowl blues, but like I definitely feel like I have that. I
Mhm.
know I'm sure you do too. Even just going back to work was hard. And it was, I'm sure we'll get to this, but there was like so much stimulation everywhere you look in New Orleans, like best city, hands down, at
Oh my
least
God.
for a Super Bowl, in my opinion, even though I haven't been to any other cities to compare it to. Like maybe Vegas is just as good, but
Mhm.
it was so much fun. And again, going back to work, I was like, what is my job and why am I not like eating at Cafe Du Monde? Like
Literally.
like that's all I want to do now. But hopefully we can make it back to New Orleans again. It was just like it was such a blast and um it just like reinvigorated like our podcast and like what we're doing and
Yeah.
it was so much fun.
It literally felt like the city and the time place where dreams are made. Like
Yeah.
it was so magical, and it felt like everywhere we went, we met someone we were supposed to meet. Everyone was so kind too. Like not even just the people at these events, but like the New Orleans Southern charm is so there. Like everyone is such an angel. They're so nice. They're so friendly. And like you said, it was just like I can't imagine a more perfect city for a Super Bowl, also having zero Super Bowl experience prior to this. But like, I can't imagine LA is giving the same warmth and hospitality to
Yeah.
outsiders that New
Yeah,
Orleans was. And just
exactly.
all the culture, all the food, so much to do. Like, we stayed in three different locations in the city, like, really got to experience all of it. And if you're thinking, oh, wow, you stayed in three different locations because you guys are like rich and like have your lives together and wanted to experience more.
Absolutely
No,
no.
we stayed in three different locations because you can't book a hotel, like unless you're literally going to the Super Bowl and you have to book it with your flight, everything. It's really impossible to get a hotel over the weekend. So we stayed
Yeah.
in one hotel, kind of in like the old towny, felt like Disneyland, Knott's Berry Farm vibes, hadn't been updated since the 1800s. I don't know if that's true. That's just the vibe that I got.
Yeah, for
And
the most
then
part.
stayed in an Airbnb in a nice part of town and then another hotel afterwards. So we
Yeah.
really experienced every pocket of New Orleans, which was
Yeah.
amazing.
And I do like one thing that I appreciate about the city and the fact that the Super Bowl was there was the fact that it was a very walkable city. I'm
Hmm.
th looking ahead to when it's in LA and when it's in Santa Clara. And we are not going to have that walkability
No.
one freaking bit. It's like we are going to be in Ubers every single day. And sure, granted, we did take some Ubers here and there, but I mean, you can walk from one end of the French Quarter to we were staying in Lower Garden District for a portion of the weekend. And that, I mean, it could take you some time. It'll probably take you a little bit over an hour, but in
Mhm.
terms of mileage, it's probably 2 miles long of where majority of the events were happening all weekend. So like nothing will compare in my eyes.
Yeah.
I dare any city and like I'm sure we're going to be going to, or the plan is to be going to a lot of the Super Bowls moving forward. Have a little point of comparison, but like this was just a magical weekend for us. And again, like to touch on like the culture of it all, like we barely even we ate one dinner and ate once a day. Like
Yeah, we didn't do enough. We needed
we
to eat
didn't
more gumbo.
we needed to eat more. We needed to go on swamp tours. We didn't do any of the ghost tours because there was just so much Super Bowl NFL events going on that we kind of headed or we focused a lot of our time in that space. But I definitely need to go back. We need to go back. We need to explore a lot more of that culture that is available there because Brooke knows I have just been like so obsessed with Louisiana and like been wanting to go to New Orleans and like have been trying to manifest this in different ways. One of the outfits that I had on it was a tie and it's a Louisiana tie with like Tabasco sauce because it was created in New Orleans and like the shape of the state of Louisiana. And it was just like we just made it happen. And it was incredible. Everybody was so nice. We
Mhm.
met so many amazing people. Um, Experience was like once in a lifetime for sure.
1,000%. And yes, to reiterate, you are Louisiana's biggest fan. Like, we have to get back to that sweet, sweet swamp because it was really all Noelle was talking about. And then asking our Uber drivers, are you Creole or are you, what's the other one?
Cajun.
Asian? Yeah. Like, Noelle
It's
was
a
so invested in the culture. It was so fun to see. Like, she took us to one of the oldest bars in the country, which is like haunted by a pirate. And it's so much fun. So we need to
it
go
was
back
very
to the
fun.
swamp, do the voodoo, do Mardi Gras. The people
Mm,
there said Mardi Gras was way crazier than the Super Bowl.
which
And
is
I can't
wild.
imagine anything crazier. So
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to hear if any of you guys have
Yeah.
gone to Mardi Gras and what that's like because I
Yes, please.
now it's like completely a bucket list item, but also I'm terrified because I don't know how the city gets crazier than that.
And if you have gone, please invite us. We
Yeah.
will come
If you
back.
have any room in your house for the weekend.
Yes, we do not want to spend, X amount of money on another Airbnb because we're still paying off Super Bowl, but yeah, we'd love to come back. It was amazing. One of our Uber drivers even we printed out some stickers. He put our sticker like right on the front of his dashboard and he just left it there. He said, "I
So
get lots of
sweet.
traffic in this car.
He's like, you're
You'll
gonna
you'll
get
get
thousands of
lots of
eyeballs on
volume."
that.
Yeah, yeah. Which was really nice. And that was just like one of the many examples of the hospitality that there was there. And it did not disappoint.
Oh my God. So if you guys are here from that Uber driver's car, if you saw our sticker,
That's
welcome.
us.
That's how we got onto his car. We thought he was joking that he was going to let us stick it on there. And he was like, no, oh my God, please, like fully put the adhesive onto my vehicle.
Yeah.
And this has nothing to do with the podcast, but just like nice Uber drivers. Like when I was feeling under the weather, the Uber driver at first, like I was like kind of like coughing and I was like, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. Like I don't want to cough in someone's car. That's so bad. But like I literally couldn't keep it in. And she was like, "Oh, are you sick?" And like, if this was anywhere else, I swear they'd be like, "Can you like
Can
put a
you
mask
put a
on?" Or
mask
like,
on?
"Can you
Yeah.
get out of my car?" And like, I didn't have a mask or anything because like this happened so quickly. And she was like, "Oh my God, I was just sick last week. Like, do you want some cough syrup and some cough drops?" And she's like, "Here." Like,
Yes.
she's pulling out this whole medicine bag and like handing it in the back seat, and like, it was just so sweet. So it's
Yes.
like I just felt like everyone there was so nice. And one of our, not to keep bringing up our Uber drivers, but the very
They were
last
the
one taking us,
best.
they were like, it's how we talk to the locals who weren't there
Yeah.
for the Super Bowl. It's like really a good way to get connected.
Yeah.
The guy who was driving us to the airport said something about like all the different culture and all the different like things that like kind of come together, like the diversity of the city to make like the really great cuisine and like everything that we experienced. And he said
Yeah.
something like, that's just all the part of the gumbo. Like when he's talking about other people, I'm like, that is so cute. Like I just
Oh,
love
yes.
them.
Wait,
That's just the
yes.
gumbo.
That's just the gumbo. And then that also reminds me of the man that we met with the dog that we saw twice.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
What was
Imagine you guys walking through the streets anywhere and running into the same man multiple times throughout the weekend. Same dog. I think the dog's name was Bruce.
Bruce, and his name was like, it started with an S.
I
I
thought
I
I was
swear I
gonna say
wrote it down
Randy.
because he was so sweet. I have to know. I don't think I did.
And he had like life advice for us. His dog was super cute. He's walking around with his cane and just a man who loves life. And
Yes.
he was saying how his dog was just a total chick magnet, which made sense because when we met him, there was another group of people petting the dog. And then we immediately said, we were kind of like drunk and like, we're like, move over. We're petting the dog now.
It
And
was like
then
a
we saw
train
him.
of like packs of girls. It's like, okay,
Yeah,
bye. And then it was
exactly.
us.
Okay.
And then
We'll
there was
sub out
another
for the
group that
next year.
came.
So like this man, no
It was
wonder
a
he's around
revolving
so much.
door. It just kept coming. No, and the one of the last things he said, I like forget what the exact words were, but he was just talking about how we should be like living in the moment and like, do
Mhm.
you remember that? Oh, I thought I wrote it down somewhere, but I just thought it was really sweet.
It was
Um,
like one of those quotes that was like, what we're experiencing now is a gift. That's why they call it the present, you know? Like
yeah, yeah,
it
yeah,
was
yeah,
like
yeah.
one of
Something about the
those.
present. Yeah,
Yeah. And it was like
exactly.
tomorrow's not guaranteed. The past is gone, but today is a gift. That's why
It's
we
like
call it
something
the
you see on a
present.
tchotchke.
Yeah. Like this is how that man spoke and then just had a cute dog and we're like, oh my God, you
Yeah.
changed our lives. Like we're like crying and then we're like, okay, goodbye. We'll see you again later.
Yeah, that was one of our last days there that weekend. So I feel like I was feeling very sentimental at the time because I didn't want the trip to end. And then
Yeah,
he
the
went on to
gift.
say that. I'm like, why you gotta do all this?
Like the present is a gift right now.
It
Thank you for
truly
recognizing that. We're
is.
in the streets of New Orleans and we're so happy.
Yeah.
But should we get into like a recap of how we spent our weekend and go through like all the crazy stuff that happened and all the
Yeah.
people we met, all the events?
Yeah. That
Oh
was
my
just high
gosh.
level, guys. There was so much more.
Just initial reactions. But no, as you guys know, like it was our goal to go not to the Super Bowl game, but to the Super Bowl city to be able to go to these events and get to meet people and get to network. And we did exactly that. So I feel really happy and like proud of us that we actually like, had this goal and accomplished it and had so much fun. And I think it was like everything we wanted it to be and more, like just to continue speaking in cliches, like it gave us everything. But we'll just give you guys like a run through of everything we did, how we experienced the city, talk a little bit more about New Orleans. It all started on a cold Wednesday evening. Actually, it was humid as fuck. I don't know why I said it was cold. It was so humid, you guys. We flew in immediately. We were both like, this feels like Florida. This feels like Hawaii. Like, this feels like we are like stepping into just absolute madness. The humidity there was very unforgiving.
Yeah.
We get a call from Pete, our producer and Noel's boyfriend, of course, saying, you guys have to get down to Bourbon Street. Lady Gaga's going on it too. And we're like, Pete, like with all due
Stop.
respect, like
No.
Lady Gaga's not performing at 2 a.m. on a
Mhm.
Wednesday night. Like there's
No.
no way that's happening. And like
We
he was
landed
like,
at midnight also.
yeah, like we were supposed to just go to bed.
We were
He's
just gonna go to
like,
bed. Like, what do you
like
mean?
it's midnight. Like let us actually just like start fresh tomorrow. He's like, no, like I have on very good authority with the people that I've just met like an hour ago that Lady Gaga's coming out. So we're like, okay, like we might as well. So we made our way to Bourbon Street. It was our first time seeing it. You guys, the amount of just military force that was
Mm.
in New Orleans during the Super Bowl. I don't know when they all got there, but we were there Wednesday and it was insane. I've never seen so many like military people in my life. They all had full guns and uniforms and whatever cars they drive. Like it was a
Yeah.
little spooky because I'm like I got like nervous being that close to guns because like I don't know, like just used to like LA. Everyone's like very soft and like I don't know, very zen. And like I'm not seeing guns in my day-to-day life.
Yeah.
Like I'm seeing them on TV. And then just like to see them that close, like it was the safest, but also like kind of like a trippy experience.
It was. It was like, am I in a war zone or am I on the safest place on earth
Yeah,
right now? And it
it could
did
go either
feel,
way.
yeah. And once you kind of got used to it, then it was like, wow, yeah, I'm walking next to military. Like, touch me. I dare you. I
Yeah.
dare you. Look who's right here.
No,
I got
I
my guy.
actually I did get pushed by a military officer
I
because I was
know.
lingering and I wouldn't cooperate. He's like, "Let's keep it going." And I was like, "Oh my God, please, I'm so sorry." Like if
Yeah.
there's anything about me, I am terrified of authority, especially when that authority is coming with guns. And it was nice though. It felt like we were getting like all the crazies were not a threat because we had the safety. Thank you to our troops at the end of
Yes,
the
yes.
day.
Thank you for keeping us safe. And it was Wednesday, but there was already like this was actually our most tame day out on Bourbon Street. First
Mhm.
time we are seeing I guess you can call it the glitz and glamour, but Bourbon Street is Bourbon Street.
Yep, it's like
So
frat
that,
row.
yeah, so like that on top of the military was just like a very unique experience. Meanwhile, they're setting up for like NFL on Fox, like right in the middle of Bourbon Street. So there's a lot happening. There's construction going on. There's people that are setting up like big production stages. And then
Mhm.
there's the Lady Gaga of it all, the rumored Lady Gaga of it all that we were kind of walking into and eventually found Mr. Beat.
Yeah. We found Pete with a whole new group of friends. Like the way that if we hadn't flown in that night, he would have been completely fine. Like he had
Yeah.
integrated himself in the culture, just having a beer with the locals. We see this like grand piano in the middle of Bourbon Street, also just like very protected by all the military. And
Yeah.
everyone's saying like Lady Gaga's going on in an hour. So like we get drinks, we wait. It turns out Lady Gaga did go on, but they evacuated everybody. Like
Yeah.
it wasn't a cute little like private Lady Gaga concert. It was something that they were planning on airing right before the Super Bowl that we ended up watching. And like they don't say this, but they obviously try to pass it off of like Super Bowl's such a big night, blah 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 blah. Now live, like let's go to Lady Gaga. And it's like We don't know your
No.
secrets. This was Wednesday at 2 a.m. And
Yeah.
there's like all these fans around when you see it on TV and it looks like this, like, oh my gosh, what a magical thing all these people just happened upon. No, we were there camped out. Well, Pete was there camped out. Everyone was made to leave. Thank
Yep.
God we didn't wait all night. And apparently Tom Brady was there and she performed, but they got everyone. That's when I got pushed because I was, of course, trying to get some videos and not try to leave, and they were very adamant about us leaving. But Lady
Yeah.
Gaga was there with us on Wednesday.
She was. And it was funny seeing that kind of air during the Super Bowl. We were like, we were there, but we weren't there. Like, we
Yeah.
tried to be there. And it was interesting because she had an audience, and I don't know who those people were, but like, rude that you didn't invite us to be like we were there, and we like there were so many people that were like big Lady Gaga fans. You can tell that
Yeah.
they've been waiting for a while. Even like the group that Pete integrated with, the girl was there with friends on her birthday. And like my first experience or like interaction with people on Bourbon Street was this group of people. And the girl was celebrating her birthday and they said, oh, like something that you do on your birthday is you like staple dollars to like my chest. So do it. I'm like, I think and unfortunately I only had like a five or no, I think I only had a 10. So I was like,
Yeah,
I
Pete's
have a
like, I'll give you
10.
change.
Yeah, he was like, I'll give you a five. It's like, no, give me 10. I didn't want to give
Why am I giving this stranger $10? I just met her. And stapling it to
Um,
her shirt was really funny.
yeah, so it was still a fun experience because we like did kind of like hop into some bars here and there. Um, and we kind of had some interactions here and there with some locals, which was really fun, really exciting. We didn't get to bed until 4 a.m. that night. And we were like, oh, this is great. Like we didn't have to be up early that
That
next
was like the
day.
one day,
That
yeah,
was
we
the
actually
one
got to
day.
sleep in.
Hmm.
But like, did we sleep in? Not really, because we were too excited. It was like Christmas morning. We're in the big
Yeah.
city.
Yeah. I felt that way like all week. I was just so excited, even if I was like really tired, to just like maybe on the mornings when we had to be somewhere at 8 a.m., those were like really tough, but you just have like a different energy when you're on vacation. And like
Hmm.
this was no different. It was
Yeah.
there was a lot going on and it was so fun.
Like we can't sleep. We literally
Yeah.
have plans. We're going to the Super Bowl. We didn't actually go to the Super Bowl, but like we're going to the Super Bowl. It's like our
Yeah.
Super Bowl.
Yeah.
But yeah, started
Yeah.
off strong with that 4 a.m. bedtime. And then the
Mhm.
next morning, like you said, thankfully it was chill. We got some of the best croissants in the world. Again, like sweetest bakery people. What was that place you went to for brunch with the mimosa flights? Like
Ruby's slipper.
like red ruby slipper. It was so
Yeah,
good.
Ruby slipper
The guy there said that he commuted from the swamps like 2 hours
from
every
the
day to work
bayou.
there. Oh yeah, from the bayou. He
From
didn't
the
call them the
swamp.
swamps. Stepped off the
Not the
swamp.
swamps.
Oh my God, a man from the
The
swamps.
way I wanted to interview him so bad, it's like, how do you like, I want to know how what your life is like, like where do
Right?
you live? Like what city is it? Do you have to worry about alligators? Like I that sounds very stereotypical, but I am just like, there is such a culture out there that's so different that we have know nothing about.
No,
And the
we
fact
were
that
there
someone
for, oh, go
yeah.
ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, even the fact that he has to commute 2 hours, like, and he still had a smile on his face
It
and
was so sweet.
was so nice. Um,
I was
yeah,
gonna say
kind of.
another like example of the Southern hospitality was when we came into that brunch. I was holding a can of Celsius because I was tired from our 4 a.m. And I was like, ooh, like Celsius, like that is just like a jolt that I want right now. Like I want that little high before my mimosas, which is like a horrible combination. I'm walking in with my can of Celsius thinking nothing of it. And then he goes, oh my God, like by the way, like we don't really allow like outside drinks in here. I'm like, I'm so sorry. Like let me throw this away. Let me put it away. He goes, no, you already opened it. Like, let me just get you some ice to go with that. And brings over a cup with ice, a straw. Like, it's like I thought this wasn't allowed, and now he's like making it the most comfortable drinking experience possible. And like that is the people of New Orleans. They are so nice. I was like,
Yes.
you must be joking. Like, if that was in LA, they'd be being sarcastic. Like, oh, let me get you comfortable. Let me get you a cup for that. This man meant it. And
Yeah. And he would have, like, if it was here in LA, they definitely would have thrown it out. They just would have been
yeah,
like, no, you can't drink that. What do you mean? I just opened
exactly.
it. No, I don't care.
Yeah,
At the
throw it
door.
away. Yeah,
Goodbye.
exactly. You can't come until it's done. He was like, let me just actually go through the liberty of plating this for you and giving it a gourmet experience.
Yeah, it was amazing.
But that was so much fun. And then Noelle got us in to what we are now calling our television debut.
Yes,
Girls Don't
yes.
Fumble on tour on TV. So we got to go see Speak, which is with Joy Taylor, Paul Pierce, Keyshawn Johnson, and Michael Irvin. They are the host talking about everything going on Super Bowl weekend, all of the things that we could anticipate for the big game. And where did we sit? None other than right behind them and right in front of the cameras. Noelle was on TV for like 2 straight hours, like just her sweet little face, like right next to the host. It was so funny.
So Pete is bellied up at the bar, like across the street while this is happening. Mind you, they were filming in a bar too, but they like had just cleared it out. But he's bellied up at the bar. There's like breaks that are happening in between for commercial breaks. And I'm getting texts from Pete, and he's at the bar and he's like zooming in of Speak on TV. And it's like, I wouldn't say it's like fully of me, but it's just like my eye, like in
Like
the
you're
in the
always
corner.
watching. Yeah.
And they're like, I think Pete reached out to his family and they were all like watching it and stuff. And they were like, you look like you're listening very intently. But I'm like, no, that's just my Botox and I can't move my face.
Yeah, like, wow, she's really like eyes wide open. You're like,
Yeah, I
that
was
is
like,
what I paid for. Yeah.
but that was really fun. It lasted like 3 hours or so. And we did have to wait outside on Bourbon, and it was a little humid and sticky
Yeah.
um, for about 45 minutes to an hour before that. So, like, once we were getting in, we were excited, but still, like, a little tired from the heat of it all because we were just waiting on the
Oh my
sidewalk.
God, yeah.
There's trash right next door to us. So, you're kind of getting whiffs of that. And there's
Like
like a
warm
huge ass
trash.
fan next to the trash. So, like, the downwind of the smell of the trash is just like right next to us. We're kind of inhaling it all. But,
Super
it's
fun.
just the true New Orleans experience, just like in the alleyway. But
Yeah.
it
And
was
we saw a major celebrity,
oh my
Tommy
gosh,
DeVito.
yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That was one of the first.
That
So,
was when
yeah.
we realized we were somewhere special next to
hmm
the trash, next to the warmth.
Yes, yes. So while we're waiting and it's on the sidewalk, but it is like a side street that like leads into Bourbon. If people were walking this way, then Bourbon Street's right here. Um, I'm, just kind of people watching because there's a lot going on. A lot of people with media badges. So I'm like,
Mhm.
they're important. Maybe work for ESPN, work for the NFL in some capacity. Then you see this guy with a girl walking down the street. And
Mhm.
I'm looking at him and I'm like, oh, he's cute. He's a cutie. He looks a little familiar. Wait, that's Tommy DeVito.
He's so cute in person.
You
Like I
guys, it's
never thought we'd have
different.
a
Yeah.
thing for Tommy, but like that was our first of 2 times seeing Tommy DeVito this
Yes.
weekend. Did we speak to him at all? Absolutely not. But
No.
did we see him and did we appreciate him? Yes, he was so cute, so tan. Just like he looks like a movie star.
He did.
Like,
He did. I feel like the photos and like what we see online don't do him justice, but he was looking ready to party, honestly, like very excited. Like he strolled right down the middle of the street and granted like a lot of that street was blocked off with like production cars and all of this like stuff that was like if you weren't important, you should be walking on the sidewalk. If you are important, then sure, you can walk down the street. And so
yeah.
there's just kind of like a spotlight going on him the whole street down.
And we're just like
Meanwhile, we're
literally
on
breaking our
the
necks looking at
yeah, we're like
him.
and then like I'm like, "Oh my God, that was Tommy DeVito." And then people like around started to notice him too. It was, that was one of many not interactions, but like sightings we saw of players that weekend.
So fun. So we were feeling good about that. Definitely tired post mimosas in the heat next to the trash and then waiting for an hour and finally getting to go in, like you said, super fun. Afterwards, after we wrapped up taping and our television debut had completed, we went to Muriel's for dinner and it was so good. It's where we had our first taste of the gumbo, which was
hmm
incredible. Like that is some of the best, I don't soup. What do they call it? I don't know, soup du jour. It was
Yeah.
so good. The restaurant was amazing. It was right, was it Jackson Square? Is that where all the lights were?
Yes.
The
Yes. Right
big
next to it.
light show that I'm sure we're like we've already posted and we'll post more about. It was so cool. It had like, Saquon Barkley up on the wall and like all like, like the Chiefs players and like it looked so special. And it was like it was such a very complete like way to start our first day of the trip.
Yeah, it was amazing. Did we do anything that night?
We did. That's when we went to the club.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Yeah, I guess before we talk about that, yeah, first like proper meal in New Orleans was delicious. And it had like that old school vibe to like old school New Orleans vibe to it, which is why I I wanted to book it and it was like close to Jackson Square and like the vibes there at Jackson Square once we walked out was like, as you mentioned, like the whole light show. There was like a
Mhm.
ton of people outside. Jackson Square is usually where they have a lot of artists and tarot card readers that are out on the streets. So the vibes were very fun and excited and lots of Eagles fans. That's like a common theme that we
Hmm.
saw all weekend was I would say 80% Eagles fans,
Yeah.
20% Chiefs. And they came with their spirit for sure.
Yeah, I can't believe it took us this long into the episode to mention how many Eagles fans, like every single person that we met was essentially like, it's because I feel like, I don't know if it's just like Chiefs fans, like they've been here before. Maybe it's less exciting to go for the third year in a row, so maybe there's less traffic. Or maybe it's just like Eagles fans are built different. Or also it's all the people that are bandwagon Eagles fans for the weekend because they're just wanting somebody to beat the Chiefs.
Yeah.
Either way, so much Eagles merch. And people from Philly, they're built different. That's a passionate fan base.
Yeah, yeah, they were traveling. They were traveling for sure. And like you started to see more of the Eagles fans and Eagles Chiefs fans in general like as the week progressed. But like that first day that we got there, we were saying like we didn't see anybody that was wearing Eagles or Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
Like we saw some
Yeah.
49ers fans, we saw some Cowboys fans, a lot of Saints fans.
Oh yeah.
But then of course as we got closer to the game, then the actual, teams that were playing in the Super Bowl
Yeah.
were starting to come. But yeah, that was a fun night.
That was so fun. Do we want to talk about the club or should we save it for the end with them, including the people that we met?
Yeah, we can. Yeah, maybe we can talk about the parties later
Okay.
because that can be like, yeah, that can.
Yeah, we'll make
I
you
like
guys
that.
wait for our party experience.
Our party experience.
Exactly. You guys don't want to miss it. End of the
Yeah.
episode. But yeah, so Friday, this was our first early morning wake up call because we had a day in the life with Dr. Jen Welter. If you guys don't know Jen Welter, she is the first female NFL coach. And this woman, she's so impressive. She's such an inspiration. She puts on these camps. We went to two of her events. This one was women would show up and they would get their glam done, they get their makeup done, their hair done, they'd be feeling gorge. And then Jen took them through all of these different like football drills, teaching them like the ins and outs of offense and defense and different workouts and had ex-NFL players and other big athletes as, the celebrity coaches for them. So it was really, really cool. And like the energy was just like, it was very uplifting and very motivating. And just, it was so awesome to learn from her. And, we got to get some interviews, get some content. We'll be dropping that on our channels too. But yeah, we loved getting to meet with Jen and getting to work with her. Her events were so much fun.
Yeah, it was such a blast, and we even got a chance to kind of interview some of the attendees there. As Brooke mentioned, there were a lot of all of them were females, and they were all had a common love for the game. So that was really exciting. We just asked them like really fun questions about who they thought was going to win the Super Bowl, who was like the hottest NFL player in the game, and it just was definitely like very uplifting for us and Dr. Jen Welter, she does so much in the community within the football space and wants to be a presence for women in the field.
Mhm.
So it was great to just connect with her and all of the attendees. It was if you want to go to one of her events, she is having one in Orange County if you guys are local, March 1st. Check it out, A Day in the Life.
Mhm.
And it was awesome. We have a bunch of content from that, so you can look out on our social for more video and content on that.
Yeah, we loved it.
Me too.
And that was just getting our day started. We went straight from a day in the life with Jen to the Bengals Bayou house,
Yeah.
which was really cool because actually I'll let Noelle tell this because like you're like, the Bengals Louisiana expert, but yeah, take it away. It was so much fun.
Yeah, so right after the Gen events, this was on Friday, we were in the bathroom and we had to do an outfit change because our outfits initially were just like all black. We were media. We were media
hmm
girls. We had our cameras, we had our phones, we had our mics, but
hmm
we wanted to be a little bit more business attire for this event. So we changed, hop in an Uber on the way to Bengals Bayou House. If you're wondering what that is, Bengals Bayou House is an event that the Bengals, in partnership with LSU, put on. And it seems like it was a networking slash kind of like mixer event for not only brands, but there were some players that came through, which we can get to, former players. And when I did some research, I was trying to figure out like exactly why they put this on. But ultimately, I think because there are so many connections and ties with LSU and the Bengals with Joe Burrow and Jamar, and even Andrew Whitworth, who is a former LSU player and Bengals player, it would have been crazy for them not to do something
hmm
since the Super Bowl was hosted in New Orleans. So it was a way for a lot of that kind of community to connect. There were panels both of those days, one with that was a little bit more brand focused and how, Ticketmaster or Wasserman, who's like a talent agency, how these brands are thinking about connecting with fan engagement and the teams and with fans all together, like how those synergies all are connected. And then the next day, the following day, is when we saw some players. We saw Joe Burrow's parents, kind of
You met Joe
representing
Burrow's
the.
mom.
I did. I met Joe Burrow's mom. She was so sweet, and they were representing the Joe Burrow Foundation. And we even, well, Brooke was at home because she was sick.
I
I
wasn't
was
at
like,
the
we
second
even.
day. Yeah.
I feel
Noelle had
bad.
to carry us on day two of Bengals Bayou.
Oh, and it was such a bummer because I was sad that you weren't there because we got to see Kate Adams, who was um, kind of like leading and hosting that sports panel where we were hearing from, Kirk Fitzpatrick, Andrew Whitworth, Orlando Brown Jr., who's a current player on the team. And just seeing her just not stumble in, like walk right in, sit down, like not even read any notes. She just got it started and then she left right away. It was like, I'm sure that girl is so busy. Like we
Oh
thought
my
we were
God,
busy
yeah.
during Super Bowl.
She's booked.
I would be on Instagram like on our way to our morning events and she's already like full glam and like had two interviews already that day, you
She's
know.
so impressive.
It was amazing. We met some partnerships team or some people on the partnerships side of the Bengals. Some of the family of the owners of the Bengals that were there. And I was like geeking out the whole time. And so was Pete. There was like some memorabilia, the Heisman and that Joe Burrow had their jerseys up. It was really, really cool. I'm happy that we were able to go. It was across 2 days. And we met like the VP of partnerships on from the Jaguars, and he was really
hmm
nice. He was like, anything
Was
you need,
nice.
you let me know. Like everybody was just so cool.
Yeah, we got his card and it's like, okay, can we come on your boat, please? We heard there's a boat here. And he seemed like he would absolutely let us on his boat. Like he was such a
Yeah.
nice guy.
Yeah. It was amazing. That was definitely like one of the highlights. There was so many highlights from this trip, but that was really cool because we don't really get to experience and like connect with the Bengals as much as I want to since
hmm
they're out in Cincy. And that was just a really great way to, and something that like we'll never really see every year, or like I don't want to say ever, but like those opportunities don't come up very often. And it was just like, yeah, I walked away with like a big ass smile on my face from that
Yeah.
event.
It made it just feel like very meant to be that we were supposed to be down there just because like with you and Pete both having such a big connection with Cincy and with the Bengals. And like you said, it's not like living in LA. There's tons of Bengals fans. And the fact that we were in Louisiana, where the Bengals and LSU connection like really just kicked off, and the fact that they put on such an amazing event. So the most gorgeous venue too. And like if anyone wants to get
Yeah.
married in Louisiana, please get married there, race and religious. It was so
Mm-hmm.
beautiful. This is where
So
we had our
nice.
first beignets, so that was also
Mm-hmm.
very meaningful. Open bar, so shout out. It was the
Yeah.
most fun event. It was so great that we were able to go for both days, and it's so cool that they put it on. That was super fun. And then after that, Ty flew in, so we reunited with him,
All
and then
the
we just
our cameramen came in.
the cameramen got in on their
Full screen.
Spirit flights. He loves Spirit. Ty was very angry with Spirit. So we had mixed reviews on the Spirit experience. We
Yeah.
had a great time with Delta. Sorry that our cameramen had to fly Spirit.
They came last minute and they served a purpose, but like we also could have done it ourselves, but we were just happy that they were there.
They were there for the vibe. So
Yeah.
we, decided to go out to dinner and like have like a fun night, just like out. We went to the casino. This is the first time that we ended up meeting that man who was inspiring with his dog. We completely lost our
Mm.
boyfriends on the side of the road because we wanted to pet this man's dog. And yeah, just ended up like interviewing, like meeting more people at the casino. We met our good friend now, Katie Bops, which was so fun and exciting for us.
Yay.
A fellow creator. She's a big Chiefs fan, and she was just so, so sweet. And it was so cool. We just randomly ran into her in the casino, and Noelle actually recognized her first because we follow her on TikTok. And it was so fun. We took a photo together, and hopefully we're going to be doing some collabs with her soon. But that was like definitely one of like our favorite people that we met, and definitely looking forward to working with her more.
Yeah, I mean, and she is just like the most precious angel ever. Like, we've been staying in touch and like look out for more content from us with her because we'd love to collab with her. And it wasn't even just like Katie Bops that we ran into um, you know, at the casino. We saw not Patrick. We saw his brother.
Jackson Mahomes.
I was about to say Pat. No, we saw Jackson Mahomes just at the bar
Just
on
hanging.
the way to the casino. I think this was this night. That's when we
Oh
saw
yeah.
Drake May,
Hmm.
rookie Patriot,
With his
going into year
fiance.
two. Yep.
That man, that's a big boy.
Yeah.
And he was just walking, went to a restaurant that we went to later, so we were bumping shoulders with celebs.
Yeah, it was wild. I mean, there was probably so many more
Yeah.
from
It's
that
also
night, but yeah.
where we met Kyle Hamilton. Just
Yes,
literally on the side of the road with a
yeah.
gorgeous girl as well.
It was like in that same area, if anyone is familiar with New Orleans, it was the Central Business District is where like a lot of the players whereabouts were. And like another cool thing about walking through there was on the streets, like we'd be walking down the street and then all of a sudden you'd see like Raising Cane's and they're like throwing a party, or you'd see FanDuel having
Yeah.
their party. And like you see these parties online, but it's like, oh wow, like that's the red carpet for it right there.
Yeah. It was so
Um,
like we saw the
it was
Kardashians on the
surreal.
side of the road. We saw everybody. Like,
Almost forgot about them.
yeah, it was just a quick little drive by. But like you said, so many events everywhere. Like we thought we had a good grasp on what events we wanted to go to, and we did, and we went to so many, but there was still just like so many more. Like
Yeah.
crazy how much happens around the Super Bowl. It's such a big like cultural event.
And I mean, the list goes on with everybody that we met, and it was just such a surreal experience. And we're not trying to like name all of these people to brag about who we met and who we saw, but it truly was just like people that we look up to, people that we talk about on our episode that we just saw walking down the street. And like, say what you want, but we were like little kids in a candy store. We were so excited.
The
But
candy
like
was people.
the candy was people. And yes, some of them are cute, but that's besides the point. I mean, it's one thing that like we have a podcast and we were trying to play, we weren't playing, but we were like, we want to be one of them one day. We're trying to, do media coverage, interview people. But at the end of the day, we're still fans at heart. And like just a year ago, we started this podcast. So it was like a very unique experience being kind of like in both worlds where we're like trying to be official and like play the role of, not being starstruck by these people that we interact with and we're seeing. Meanwhile, we're just little fans.
Yeah, like we're like, wait, how did we even get here? Like, how did this happen? Like, it was so much fun because it was truly everything we like were hoping for. Wait, I'm so sorry. Millie might have to go potty. Because I just fed her dinner. Wait, give me
Oh,
1 second. Can we pause it for a sec? And
yeah.
then she's like
Um,
looking at me, she has to go potty. Or
yes.
like not actually pause, but like,
Yes, yes, yes,
can
yes.
Pete cut this out? Okay, I'll be right back.
Yep.
Millie, come here. Come here. Okay, cool.
Yeah, so big takeaway, fangirls trying to take it till we make it.
Who
And
was
then
your
just
favorite
like,
person? Oh, sorry.
no, I was just gonna say in the connections of it all, like New Orleans was the glue for us to kind of get engulfed into the sports space, which was really fun.
I love that. It was the glue. I was gonna ask you, who is your favorite person that we even just like saw from afar? Like, not that you were starstruck, we kind of were, but like, who would you say is like the biggest sighting?
Oh, like, yeah. CD Lamb.
Yeah, I agree. That's mine too. CD Lamb, you guys, was insane.
Yeah.
We saw him at the Sports Illustrated party, and like, you like we kept saying this all weekend, so I know I sound like a broken record, but like celebrities and athletes look like celebrities and athletes. Like it doesn't look like people that you interact with on a daily basis or you see
Yeah.
at the grocery store just walking down. I know that's not the world's hottest take, but like these people look so beautiful, so clean, so rich that like you see CeeDee Lamb and I'm like, "Oh my God, like I'm not worthy." Like he
Yeah.
was so gorgeous. His skin was so clear. I was like,
Yeah.
we're not
His
ugly, we're just
smile
poor.
was
Like
amazing.
it's beautiful.
You,
Like they want us to not fangirl, but I'm like, you guys are truly like God's gift to earth. Like, does worse than fangirl.
yeah, I mean, Brooke and I were just like grabbing a drink and very much we had just gotten into the party, um, very much in like the people watching space. And
Mhm.
like that kind of didn't end the rest of the night. We were just like, oh, there's so and so, there's so and so. And we're grabbing a drink because we heard these, what was the drinks made out of with the Celsius? Was it a cherry like limeade drink?
Yeah, it was
It
like
was
a
like,
Shirley Temple with Celsius.
yeah, and it was honestly so good. So it was recommended to us. So we're waiting in line, and then all of a sudden, like you see him, and he was in line kind of next door, but I was like, oh my God, there's CeeDee Lamb. It was wild. I was wild. And like, it really, I, he wasn't even someone that I wanted to approach for a photo because I was like so nervous. And like,
Mhm.
that's just, we were trying to play cool too.
Yeah, no, like there was
Like, we
no
were meant to
way we
be
could
here.
have
What do you mean?
promoted him or like gone up to him and been like, can we have a photo? Like, I actually would not have been able to do that.
Yeah.
I don't think
Yeah.
I'd be
Yeah.
able to form a sentence
Yeah.
looking into his eyes.
Yeah. And he was just one of the many people that we saw at this Sports Illustrated party. We went to a few events in the evenings, one of which was Sports Illustrated. The night of, I think it was Thursday night, our
Mhm.
first like evening after we had landed. We went to, it was like it was called the Playmakers Party. And it was just really fun. Like, I guess if we want to dive into like the party aspect that we had in New Orleans, and this is where we were kind of faced with the celebrity of it all, like the people who were there either like with a brand or going to
Mhm.
the game. And this was like the entertainment side, which was really fun. Um, yeah, for Sports Illustrated, we had been trying to get on this list to go for weeks and weeks and, tried to knock down many doors and it just didn't seem like it was in the cards. You could buy a ticket and they were like $300 and I'm sorry. As much as I love
Yeah.
like Dom Dalla, I just wasn't ready to pay for that.
No, the
But
night that I checked to see the day that we went, and the cheapest ticket was 600, and like any sort of VIP experience was like over 1,000. Like it was
yeah,
not something that we would just want to casually buy just to go to a party.
yeah, and you'd have to buy a table, and like that
Hmm.
just wasn't what we were about. Initially, we wanted to go and interview, people on the red carpet, and that would have been amazing, but maybe next time.
Yeah, next
Um,
time.
yeah, but by chance, we had an event, I believe it was Saturday morning with Dr. Jen Welter. We did Day in the Life with her that day before. we did media coverage for her at a second event that Saturday morning, and it was for something called the Gridiron Girls, which is a youth flag football camp for women or for young girls. And we're there, we're shooting content. Mind you, we also went to the wrong place in the morning.
We were a mess. I
We
also woke
were,
up with the flu. So
yeah,
we were
shoot.
not like planning on having anything good happen to us this day.
Yeah, we were struggling, and I have a photo of us. Maybe we can post it of us waiting for our Uber because we basically went to the same venue that the event was held at the day before. Didn't even look to see if the event was at the same place, and it wasn't. So we
Of
get
course
dropped
not.
off, and there's doors are locked, nobody's home, and so we have to call another Uber, and it's like out of New Orleans at this point. Once we get to the actual venue, we're shooting content, and we see these really cute girls dressed in True Religion, and they're shooting content as well. And I'm like, huh, I wonder like what they're here for. And we're looking at each of the girls and each of the attendees had, a Gridiron Girl shirt on, but it said True Religion on it. So I put two and two together that I'm like, oh, like this is they're sponsoring this event at some point.
Hmm.
We then get to talking to them. They're super sweet. I believe one lives in LA, one lives in Texas.
Hmm.
And we stopped talking for a little bit and like we're shooting more content. And then we kind of put two and two together that True Religion is also a sponsor of the Sports Illustrated party. And I look at Brooke and I'm like, we should, see what they're up to tonight.
I'm sure they're going to the Sports Illustrated
Yeah.
party.
I mean, and like I didn't want to ask them, but like just wanted to keep that connection in some way, shape, or form. And they were also really cool girls. And like
Yeah.
we still have their phone numbers and like want to connect with them to this day. But towards the end of the event, we go up to them and they actually ask us, they're like, what are you guys doing tonight? Or like, what are you
Like
doing for the
nothing.
rest of the day? They're like, oh, like, we're saying we're really busy because the Bengals Bayou House was later on that day, on Saturday as well. And we're like, still, plans are still up in the air for tonight. Like, what's the move? I didn't say that, but basically like
That's
left
the
it very
vibe.
open, and they were like, "Oh, we may have some extra wristbands for the Sports Illustrated tonight. We're sponsors of the event. Let's exchange numbers, and we'll let you know around like 5 or 6 tonight if we can get you guys in." And we're like, "This is amazing! Like, thank you so
Yeah.
much." And honestly, we were so grateful because we had just met these girls, and I guarantee you, if this were to happen with other people in LA, like no people that you just meet are just like handing you tickets to a very exclusive
No.
party. And I was honestly shocked in a good and like grateful way that they even like would offer it to us when we had just met them. Um, and we get the text a little bit later in the day and they say that you guys are good. They're VIP tickets. I'll
Hmm.
meet you at the door. I'll give you the wristbands. And we were able to go to the Sports Illustrated party. Um, and it was amazing. The fog was coming in. It was right at the like foot of the Mississippi River. So it was a little chilly, like one of the colder nights. But
Little
again, like
spooky.
we saw CD Lamb, and this was also the party where like all of Bachelor Nation was there, and not the
To
fans.
everyone.
It was Tyler Cameron. It was
Hmm.
um
Joey and Kelsey, Jason Tartick,
yes.
Blake from Stagecoach, like
Yeah.
everybody. And
Everybody.
like, remember we were talking to like Isaac Cooch and like with, is that how you pronounce her last name? Kutch Cooch? I don't know.
Yeah.
With
Allison.
Allison,
Yeah.
who has made such a big name for herself, like in the women like podcasting, NFL influencer space. So we're talking to him, like trying to maybe see if we can talk to her. And then someone comes up and interrupts him, and we're like, oh, I bet it's another fan. No, it's Tyler Cameron and his girlfriend Tate, just
Yeah.
right there being like, oh, hey, what's up? And then we were like, so we're gonna go. Like we're gonna get out
Yeah.
of here before we actually start fangirling. But this was just like again, like yeah, like you said, like not to brag, but just like it's so wild to me how all these people that have nothing to do with football just want to be at the Super Bowl and want to go to the parties. And there's so much happening that it's
A lot
like
of the world's
yeah,
connecting.
like anywhere you go, these events and stuff, you're going to be running into people that are influencers, people that are athletes. Leah from Love Island was there. Alex
Hmm.
Earl was there. I mean, Alex Earl makes more sense because she's dating Braxton, but I'm like, Leah, what are you doing at the Sports Illustrated party? Like, we didn't see
Yeah.
her, but I saw she posted later and it was like, I actually that would have been bigger for me than CeeDee Lamb if I saw Leah.
Yeah, I thought we saw them. There was a couple that was like very good looking right when we walked in, and like the
Mhm.
guy was like very suave and like tall, and then this girl kind of looked like Leah, and I was like, oh, that's not them. I thought it was initially.
Maybe it
Um,
was.
yeah, but it was crazy. Free drinks everywhere you
Love.
go for the most part, and again, great for people watching. And that wasn't the only party that we went to. We were double booked that night. We were actually triple booked. We didn't even go to the other
We couldn't
party.
even make it to all the parties. Mind you, I have the flu this entire time, and I'm
Yeah.
still pounding like Celsius
And
tequilas.
Brooke is like being such a champion through it all. Like, couldn't even tell that she was sick unless we were like at home. Then she was like, laying down and like trying to
Sleeping.
rest. But we hop on a pedicab because this place is just like crawling with Ubers. It's really hard to call a car. And it was $80 to go, probably like maybe less than a mile. And
Yeah.
we go to the Maxim party. It was like Saints and Sinners um, themed. And when you walk in before you get to the actual party at this venue, which was basically like a club, people were, had their bottles and everything. There was a silent, I don't know if it was a silent, but there was an auction going on. A lot of NFL memorabilia of like every single team that you can imagine with Taylor, even a Taylor Swift album, I think that was
Yeah,
like
like
all
multiple Taylor
signed.
albums. Yeah, and
Yeah.
like concert posters and everything. It was so cool.
So we took some content of that, and that was a little bit towards the end of the night, but we were there for maybe an hour and like had a good time, had a few drinks. We
Hmm.
heard that Young Gravy was coming, and we were waiting to interview him, but we actually ended up leaving, and I don't know if he ever ended up going to the party, but we didn't end up seeing him. But altogether, just like such a fun night full of events. And
Hmm.
it was such a blast. And that's where I feel like we met slash people watched the most.
So fun. And sorry, can you hear Millie barking?
No.
Okay, cool. It's tuning it out.
Yeah.
No, it was so much fun. We did see the picture of Young Gravy on the red carpet. We just somehow missed him, probably
Oh
when we
yeah.
were like sitting in
Already
the
gone.
bathroom because our feet were hurting, or yeah, we had already left because we were like, oh my gosh, we can't keep doing this. It was really fun seeing Loud Luxury perform. I love them and they are
Hmm.
such good performers. And so that was like very cool, very high energy. We did look at some of the auction items. Not that we were like wanting to make a purchase, but like there was like a Chargers helmet that was signed by Justin Herbert. And so like I was like, oh my God, there was like no bids on it. Like maybe I could win. Starting bid was like 5 grand. I'm like, well, what would I be doing with the Chargers helmet? Like it's not even like I can like it's like a Justin's t-shirt and I can like wrap myself in it and like sleep in
Yeah.
it at night. Like
You
I
put
can't
it
sleep
on.
in this helmet. Yeah, I'm like just sitting at my desk working like with my helmet, like trying to sniff it and see if it smells like him. Like I'm sorry, like I don't have 5K
What
for that.
cologne?
Yeah, I'm like literally give me anything else of Justin's and I would have considered spending that money. But it was so much fun and yeah, lots of people watching, lots of just craziness. I'm trying to think if there's anyone else that we saw. Oh, it's Sports Illustrated. Brianna Chicken Fry was also there. Saw her pictures on the red carpet. Like truly, I was gonna say anyone who was anyone was there. But I don't mean that. But it was very fun.
It
And
was
thank you,
cool.
Noelle, for working your magic, both with the Maxim party and with the Sports Illustrated, chatting with the True Religion girlies. True Religion, you guys, is making such a comeback. Like these girls were dressed so cute. I was like, okay, well,
Yes.
we now need to go buy some jeans. But yeah, I feel like I didn't have two brain cells to rub together. So Noelle finessed getting us everywhere and making the night happen. And I was just lucky to be alive at that point.
I'm so happy that you were down to go.
Oh, I wouldn't miss it for the
Like,
world. That's
yeah.
how my flu turned into pneumonia, for
You're
sure, is
you're a
that
writer.
I was absolutely on my deathbed and then I said, "Well, what if I stayed out until 4 and had tequila and Celsius in the cold and in the fog and went in this crowded place and then now I can't shake my pneumonia." So, it's just the consequences of my own actions unfortunately catching up, but I don't regret a single thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's not your fault that you got sick.
No, it's not my fault that I like to have a good time either.
Yeah, 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 exactly. Um, well, that's cool. Last event, I guess that we could talk about is the Playmakers Party. I know we're kind of like going out of order here, but like
Hmm.
one fun takeaway that we had from this, we get into this party and we're walking around. We don't really recognize a ton of people at this one. I know that there were people there, and it might have just been like, I think this was one of those nights where there was just kind of a lot going on. So we might have missed a lot of people that were recognizable, at least to us. We get approached by somebody like, hey, like come over to our table. We're like, cool. We start
Jealous.
talking to one of the girls there, and she's like, yeah, by the way, I'm a publicist, and the player that I work for, he's right here. His name's Orlando Brown Jr. I'm like, on the Bengals? Like, what? Yeah, I know who that is. And then she introduces us, and we talk to him all night. He's the sweetest guy
The
ever.
nicest guy.
He
So
was,
funny.
yeah, so cool. And turns out he's going to the Bengals Bayou event. We see him again there. I tell him about Pete and, my Cincy connection. He's like, Pete, he's like, where is he from? Where's he from in Cincy? I'm like, Anderson. He's like, that's where I live. And when they actually met at this Bengals Bayou house, he was so like he didn't even actually come up to me. He went up to Pete first. He didn't even know like who Pete was, but I was talking to Pete. He said, "This is the man I want to meet." And he like gives him a
Oh.
big hug, and they're talking for a minute. Got a photo of them, and that was a really sweet moment too. Um, just again, like I I was blown away by how welcoming and like warm the sports space was, because I think like in general you hear about how people are in the entertainment space, and they're very
Mhm.
like, you know, um closed door, like who do you know here? And that just like
Mhm.
it wasn't the vibe. And maybe it was because it was the Super Bowl, and like Pete made um a really good point where it seems like everybody was there at a wedding. Like everybody was
Yeah.
just in a great mood.
It's exactly
And
what it was like.
yeah, and maybe it was just the Super Bowl feels, but I'm hoping that that it has that rep of everybody just being very welcoming and like wanting to help you is what I kind of took away from it.
Yeah, like you mentioned earlier, the guy who worked for the Jags just giving us his card and being like, call me for anything you need. And we're like, thank you so much. Like, everyone genuinely was like, here's my business card. Follow me on Instagram. Like, let's chat, let's connect, let's collab. Like, how can we work together? And it was really nice because obviously we're hoping one day, Girls Don't Fumble is going to grow and be a big brand and people are actually going to like really want to work with us. Not that these people didn't, but I'm like, you don't have to say that to a grassroots podcast. So I think it just meant so much to us that it's like we felt like we were faking it till we made it a little bit being there, and that like we were really rewarded with the fact of like how welcoming and sweet everyone was and how like ready they were to connect and chat with us. And yeah, Orlando Brown Jr. was like one of the nicest people we met all weekend and just had like the most normal conversations with him.
Yeah.
Like not someone that you would think is like hanging out with Joe Burrow and, this major player on the Bengals. There's not as much of an ego with some of the people as I thought there would be.
Yeah, 100%. It was great.
Until next year.
Until next year.
We
Yeah. Do we want to talk about the game at all?
can touch on the game. I know we have to drop soon, but
Yeah.
I mean, the game was just such a nothing burger of the Eagles were in control the entire time. It's like we were at the casino watching. It was great energy. It was so much fun being at the casino. Like I want to like
Yeah.
live in that casino.
Our first parlay that we lost, obviously.
We lost because we bet on the Chiefs, you guys. And I'm sorry if you didn't think we should have bet on the Chiefs. Like I mean, that was the most shocking thing. Like, yes, it was a boring game because it was such a blowout, but like a blowout in such a shocking way that everyone we were talking to before, everyone was like thinking that the Chiefs were going to win. Even if you're riding for the Eagles, you're like kidding yourself if you didn't think that the Chiefs were going to pull this out and do a three-peat just because as dominant of a season as the Eagles had had with Saquon Barkley and Jalen Hurts and like all of their offensive weapons, the Chiefs just kept getting it done. And so we're like, of course they're going to win.
Yeah.
And wasn't even close. They weren't going to win for a second. They
Yeah.
said Kendrick Lamar had more yards in his halftime show than the Chiefs had the whole game. And I
Yeah.
believe it because whenever we looked up at the TV, I'm like, three and out again, intercepted again. Like, please. It was getting really sad.
Yeah, it was. And it was never close. And throughout the game, or actually it was at halftime when the score was what, like at some point the score was 34-0. And I'm like, this I did not have on my bingo card at all.
Not in the parlay whatsoever,
No, not
actually.
in the parlay. But very happy for Jalen, Saquon, Cooper DeJean. What a
Oh, yeah.
breakout like player in that game on his birthday, and same for Saquon. Like it was great to witness, and for those of you who have been watching for a while, um, you know, I think after the Super Bowl, we have a different perspective of the Chiefs. They do feel a little bit more like we can come back down to earth
Hmm.
and they're not as put on a pedestal anymore. They're still an amazing team and they're going to go back to the Super Bowl.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
I think everybody can kind of breathe for a minute, just knowing that, they also, as all teams do once the Super Bowl happens, has to start from zero. Um,
Yeah.
which is kind of a relief when your team has to play in the same, conference as them. So, yeah, it was still, not a good time for Chiefs fans. I hope you guys are recovering and doing okay now.
Hmm.
But then it does leave some questions for what's going to happen next season. Is Travis Kelce going to be retiring? I know
I
that there's all
know.
those rumors about that. And will the Eagles continue to, be dominant in the NFC?
I know. I like actually think that as much as it was sad for the Chiefs fans to lose, and I say sad with an asterisk because they have won three Super Bowls in the last few years. So it's like they've had a lot more happy times than other fan bases have. But still, I mean, I can't imagine how it feels to lose a Super Bowl. It's just obviously like devastating for them
Yeah,
for this year.
heartbreaking.
I like, in a way, I think it's good for their fan base because they had, and this would happen with any team, but you just get like enemies and people who hate to see you doing well. And you get a lot of haters and a lot of people saying they're not as good as they think they are and they don't deserve this. And they're just against them because they're winning so much.
Right.
And
Yeah.
it's an easy team to gang up on when it's the team that keeps beating everybody. And so I'm hopeful that for the fan base, which everybody that we met that was a Chiefs fan was wonderful. They are
Yeah.
the sweetest people. And so it's like, I would imagine like no one actually thought any of the Chiefs fans were mean. They were just kind of sick of the Chiefs winning. I'm hoping that this is helpful for the fan base to kind of get brought back into the fold with everyone and like, hey, the Chiefs aren't the enemy anymore. They didn't like, they're one of us now. They've all lost. And it's ironic because the Eagles fan base has spent a lot of years being a very notorious, sometimes, I don't want to say hated, because I don't think any fan base should be hated for supporting their team, but one of the more fan bases that people are butting heads with.
Yeah.
And I'm curious to see how this evolves, which now everyone was a bandwagon Eagles fan pretty much if they didn't have a horse in the race, cheering against the Chiefs losing. And now it's like, I think people are just going to switch it up and be mad at the Eagles and be like, well,
Yeah.
no one likes when someone's team is dominating. They hate to see someone else succeeding that's not them. That's just the nature of football, nature of life. So I'm hopeful that that's maybe one positive that the Chiefs can have is that people can kind of like leave them alone and stop hating on the Chiefs for a little bit.
Yeah. It's like the meme, like leave Britney alone.
Yeah, leave Britney alone.
Leave her
Legitimately.
alone. No, I hear you and I completely agree. It's like the pendulum has now shifted.
Hmm.
The Eagles are now the team to be stopped and like it's just going to be like the life cycle that is being a football fan. Like who's going to be the team that we're going to hate this year and it's always the one that's going to be on top. Congrats to the Eagles fans because you guys are on top right now. Let's see if you guys can hold on to it. But that's the name of the game,
Hmm.
and I'm sure that they'll be back. Like it's the
They'll
Chiefs
both be
and it's
back.
Pat and
Yeah,
Andy
those
Reid.
are two amazing teams. And as much as I'm trying to say the Chiefs are relatable, they're really not. They're such a good team. I hope Travis Kelce doesn't retire because we love Travis Kelce. We love seeing Taylor at the games. But I do understand that it might be his time. And it would suck because Jason retired after a really disappointing end to a season. And the Chiefs have so much to be proud of from this last season. But obviously, it was a really like abnormally devastating loss of just the blowout. So it'd be sad if that was the way that he ended his career. I
Yeah,
listened to New Heights when they were talking about the recap of the game and like, he was just like devastated. Like Jason was trying to be like, well, you broke all these records, you did all this. Like, this is actually like the legacy that you're leaving. That's what matters. And he was like, I couldn't care less about that at this point,
yeah. And
which I get. That's not what he wanted to do. He didn't want to break a record. He wanted to win the Super Bowl for the third time and have that be his legacy. And now it's not.
yeah, it's all perspective because then on the other side you hear AJ Brown saying like I thought that I'd be way more satisfied and like happy about
Hmm.
winning this Super Bowl, but really it's about like the hunt of getting there is what
Yeah.
like drives me and I thought that that was like mm, can't say it's relatable, but
No, but it's very real because I
it's
think it's
real,
like
yeah.
it's such a common thing in life where you're like, if I just get this, I'll be happy. If I just accomplish this, if I just get this new thing, or like whatever, get to this stage of my job or my relationship or whatever, this goal weight, then I'll be happy. And it's like, that's never going to be the case. It's always
Yeah.
going to be about the journey to get there. That's much more motivating. And it's
And
like,
being
I liked,
present.
and being, let's end on that. And let's end on everybody be present. The reason they call it a present is because it's a gift. I don't know the actual saying,
I
but
love that.
namaste.
Namaste.
We'll talk to you guys later. We have a ton of exciting stuff coming up for the off season. We got the combine, we got the draft, we know there's going to be a lot more coach firings and hirings and player
Free
moves, retirements,
agency.
free agency fiasco. We can't wait to report it all to you guys. And we love you so much. And next season's going to be even better.
Yay. Thanks for listening.
Bye.